What's up, closers? It's Greg Gomez III, founder, CEO, FastStartMarketer.com. Did you miss me? It has been a while since I've shot a live video here, so as you jump in here, let me know that you are live, let me know that you're seeing this, let me know that you are alive and how it feels to be alive. I'm going to keep this super short because there's so much that I want to cover. But long story short is, how do you like the new studio setup? We're actually in the new home. We're actually in the new home studio. I've got it all finally set up, and we should be streaming live with faster internet than I've ever had in my entire life. Literally, I blink and the entire internet has just passed me by. It's fascinating. So what do we do and how relevant are phone sales in a texter's world? My goodness, one of the biggest things that we wind up seeing happen with clients and students all over the place is this big concern right now. Greg, I'm getting leads. I'm reaching out to folks, but they're not answering the phone. And think about it. When you get a call from somebody and you don't recognize the number, what do? Well, you let it go to voicemail, right? We don't answer those calls because typically they're the telemarketers. Now, recently, the federal government has implemented more rules and regulations to help combat robot dialing or robocalls, which is good because, frankly, they were out of hand for a while. But the damage was already done. Lots of folks are seeing these ridiculous numbers pop up one right after the other. Oh my gosh, it's so much. And good evening, Angela. And there's so many of these calls coming in that it just makes people really skeptical to pick up the phones and actually answer and engage with folks because it's most likely a telemarketer. However, there is hope. There are ways that you can increase engagements. And we've been experimenting with a lot of different things, but there's 3 different strategies that you can use right now if you're generating leads online or if you're cold calling that can help dramatically. And rule number 1, remember that most folks are actually using their cell phones. Very few folks have home phone numbers, and I know immediately a bunch of you are going to chime in and say, I still have a home phone, and that's the only number I give out to folks because I know if they call it, it's probably a telemarketer, right? Good for you. That's awesome. Most folks, however, don't find the necessity of having a home phone number when they have a cell phone that can pretty much take care of everything. If you want to get a hold of folks, you pretty much predominantly want to just dial them on their cell phone, right? So assume that the number you're dialing is a cell phone number. 80% of the time, you're going to be correct. So what does that mean? So when you reach out to a person, one thing that we find that does increase engagement, not necessarily phone contacts, but it does increase conversation back and forth and starts the dialogue, is calling somebody, they don't answer, hang up, don't leave a message, send a text, and ask for the first name. So if I'm calling Angela, I ring Angela, I don't answer, I don't leave a voicemail, I hang up, and then I immediately text Angela, Angela, ? And almost always you get a reply that is, who's this? Just in case it's somebody that's important. Hey, this was Greg, I was calling about I just called a second ago, I was calling about whatever the reason I was giving a call. Are you available for 2 minutes? Had a couple questions for you, right? Super generic, basic as you go along. Now again, the views expressed by Greg Gomez III aren't necessarily those of any legal advice. Don't consider this legal advice. Every state varies in their own legal rules, and depending on what state you're calling into, they have their own set of rules. There's the federal government's rules. Know the rules before you start dialing out there. So there are 3 things you got to have in place when you're reaching out to folks: who you are, what you're calling about, and where you're calling from. So who you are, where you're calling from, and what's the nature of the call, what's the purpose of the call. So typically you want to answer those things in the text quickly as possible. However, I try to be as vague as possible to incite people saying, what is this all about? So that we can, get on a call and see if they're qualified, at least get a couple of those questions out of the way. Hey, like that painting? I love that painting. My wife commissioned it for me for my birthday one year. So that's tip number 1. Tip number 2, how you leave voicemails. Leave them quick, concise, don't give too much information. Do not try to sell in your voicemails. If you try to sell in your voicemails, typically you're going to have people not reply to you because they're going to think that you're a salesperson, and frankly, they don't want to be bothered by salespeople, right? So what I like to do is, hey, my name is Greg. I was giving you a call in reference to blank. I was calling about your home business. I was calling about your real estate property. I was calling about your back taxes. I was calling about whatever it is, the purpose you were calling about. The reason for my call, I had a couple questions. I wasn't sure if this was accurate information. Could you please call me back at yada, yada, yada. It's pretty urgent. And that's it. This is me. I'm with XYZ organization. And the reason for my call is that your paperwork came across my desk showing that you were qualified for a lower fixed rate. You were qualified for being able to, improve the quality of your health. In Angela's case, I was calling about your fibromyalgia, or your MS. As I understand, you're suffering with that, or somebody in the house is. I have some paperwork that has some questions that aren't really clear. If you could give me a call back, I'd like to ask some questions to make sure that this is accurate. My number is blah, 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 blah. Look forward to talking to you. Thank you very much. That's it. End the call. Be vague, be concise, be clear, but let them know. Don't give too much information. Do not try to use the answering machine or the voicemail box as a form of selling. That's not what it's for. It's only to create curiosity, give as much, the minimum legal information that you have to create curiosity and incite at least a text back. Or you can text this number, this is my mobile number, blank, right? And then you can go from there and they can text back and forth. And what we're really trying to do is just to create some type of momentum in engagement. We just want to verify, is this the right number? Is this the right person? Great. Are they under these conditions that we can benefit? Can we help them with this stuff? Are they eligible? Are they qualified? Is this something that's going to benefit them? And if yes, great. What we specialize in is helping people do X, Y, and Z. Would that help you? Does that make sense? Then from there, we can start to move things forward. All right, my third and final tip here tonight is be consistent. Make sure that you are dialing folks with inconsistent times, so tip number 3 is be consistent with your inconsistency. So one of the things that I like to do is if I'm generating leads online, if I get a lead at 7 o'clock at night, I'm going to respectively call that person at 7 o'clock at night. If they're not available then, I'm going to try calling them in the morning. And if they're not available then or answering, I'm going to try calling Saturday morning on a weekend. I'm going to try them 3 different times at 3 different time zones to try to get a hold of them. If they came in on a Tuesday, I'm going to call them on a Tuesday. Make sense? So I always follow up with folks and I go from that point to make sure that I'm trying to reach out to them at different time frames. If you only dial at one specific time during the week, and that's the only time you dial, that might not be the time that those folks are available. So you have to spice up what it is you're doing so you can get a hold of them and reach out at several different times. Make sense? Fourth and final bonus tip for you here. Dial on the weekends, man. Saturday mornings are really good, or Sunday evenings, you'll get a lot more contacts. People are usually relaxed. They're dining in, they're relaxing, they're done for the rest of the week. Should we be dialing on Sundays? There's never a bad day to make money, in my opinion. Outside of dialing too early by law or too late, which is typically 9 o'clock in both time zones, respectively, then you want to make sure that you're dialing inside of those legal parameters. But if you are, there's never a bad day to dial out to folks and reach out to them, to talk to them. That's it, my friends. The hiatus was fun. Moving into the new place was outstanding. It's been a really big adventure. This is probably one of the biggest adventures over the last month we've had. Getting settled in, and I really love the new place. I can't wait to show it off to you guys as we go along. We're going to do some more videos throughout, but this is going to be my standard studio going forward. Excited. I haven't even showed you the rest of the studio. We got a bunch of other stuff we're going to be getting done, but as always, I appreciate you. If you're watching this on YouTube, I appreciate you. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to like and subscribe. When we get to 1,000 subscribers, I'm going to do some live prospecting dials for you guys on your leads. I'm going to call your prospects for you and dial through your leads. This will be preferential treatment for my paid members. If you want to become a paid member and actually hear from me on a weekly basis, going through stats and data and showing how to get leads and improve contacts and improve scripting, it's very simple. Comment below, let me know that's something you're interested in, and I will share with you how you can get access to my private group so you guys can hear on an ongoing basis what it is I do on a weekly deal. That's it, my friends. That's it. If you're on YouTube, you can see my latest video here, and you can subscribe here. Hit the bell icon and subscribe, and when we get to 1,000 subscribers, we'll go from there. I appreciate you. Take action, and I'll see you on the next webinar. Take care.